Let's go to some news that was huge news toward the end of the week and over the weekend until obviously Biden dropped out of the race. But this was big news over the weekend. Russell, you put this together. You want to take this one?
Yeah, so finally Skynet made its move against the human race.
Yes.
But we managed to regain control of the systems this time, but it's learning. Microsoft and CrowdStrike outage disrupts travel and business worldwide. A defective update to an obscure piece of security software knocked out computer systems around the globe Friday, causing widespread disruptions to travel, medical care, and businesses of all stripes, while revealing in stunning fashion the fragility of a world economy built on shared technology. Putin!
Yeah.
Airline passengers were stranded at airports as thousands of flights were canceled. Hospitals closed their doors to patients expecting routine appointments. Shoppers encountered self-checkout terminals showing the notorious blue screen of death that pops up when Windows fails. Even the organizers of the upcoming Paris Olympics reported impacts to the delivery of uniforms. The problem traced to an update issued for Windows computers by security firm CrowdStrike. Now, this isn't mentioned in any of these reportings, and I'm sure most of you folks know, but CrowdStrike are the people who were assigned to investigate the DNC leak that claimed it was Russian hackers without ever offering any evidence of that and refusing to give these servers to the FBI. CrowdStrike was brought in instead of the FBI. So these are the folks we're talking about, the very honest folks we're talking about. The company said at 6 a.m. Friday, the problem had been identified and fixed, but by that point, the effects had rippled around the world. The company's problems follow a string of computer security incidents and service outages in recent years that have disrupted online services. Bruce Schneier, a security technologist who teaches at the Harvard Kennedy School, said the latest problem shows how brittle parts of the online world have become as companies have chased efficiency while sacrificing resiliency. Quote, "This is one of hundreds of companies you've never heard of that are essential to the functioning internet." He compared the situation to a house built in such a way that nailing a picture to the wall puts it at risk of collapsing. CrowdStrike software is widely used around the world by businesses seeking to defend themselves from hackers. The problems Friday affected only computers running Microsoft's Windows operating system, CrowdStrike said, leaving Apple computers and those using Linux unaffected. Good news for Apple. That's good advertising for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no problem. I had no problems.
I mean, nothing happened to mine, but while Windows is the operating system for hundreds of millions of personal PCs, it also runs on the computers behind the scenes that are vital to the operation of airlines, digital payment systems, emergency services call centers, and other organizations. CrowdStrike said in the blog post that the faulty file implicated in the more widespread outages had a timestamp equivalent to 12:09 a.m. Eastern Time Friday. An unrelated Microsoft outage Thursday also caused problems. Some of the most visible early effects of the outage were at the airlines. Budget U.S. carriers Frontier and Sun Country disclosed in the early hours of Friday that they were experiencing disruptions, and the problem spread to major airlines and affected airlines overseas. By 6:30 p.m., more than 4,400 flights had been canceled worldwide. Of that, more than 2,700 were flights operating into, within, or out of the United States, according to FlightAware.com, an online flight tracking website. More than 40,000 flights were delayed worldwide, with delays affecting more than 10,000 flights originating or ending in the United States. United Airlines said the outage impacted several key systems, those used for checking in customers, calculating aircraft weight, and operating call centers. In the United States alone, the impacts were similar to what might be expected during a major snowstorm. And even as airlines reported getting operations back up and running Friday morning, problems in the aviation system can take hours to fully resolve as crews and aircraft are left in the wrong cities. By Friday morning, it had become clear that the effects were reaching a large number of industries and affecting government agencies. The effects on medical providers stretched from the United States to Israel, with doctors losing access to electronic medical records and some hospitals postponing elective procedures. Now, it's interesting, this article really focused on what can happen when you have these small companies behind the scenes and something goes wrong. But we're going to look at a USA article, which I think had a much better take on this. The Washington Post's coverage of what the effects were was better. But USA Today really points out that 50% of Fortune 500 companies are using CrowdStrike. Now, you know what I would like to see? Given that CrowdStrike, in our opinion, we can't prove this, covered up the DNC leak on behalf of the DNC and the Clinton campaign, I would like to know how big this company was 8 years ago and how much doing that service supercharged their business. I would really like to see numbers on that. So do we want to show that video?
We could do it. We could do it after. We can go this for now.
All right, so painful wake-up call. What's next for CrowdStrike Microsoft after update causes outage? So just a little bit from this article. CrowdStrike is advertised as being used by more than half of Fortune 500 companies. Meanwhile, Microsoft's Windows is one of the most popular operating systems in the world, and the company provides an estimated 85% of the productivity software used by the federal government, according to statements from Representative Benny Thompson during last month's House Committee on Homeland Security. Quote, "The issue we're dealing with is that the world is complex and interdependent, and the fact is that the technology that we use is global," said Scott White, an associate professor and director of the cybersecurity program and cyber academy at George Washington University in Washington. "We've become dependent on organizations like Microsoft. CrowdStrike and Microsoft business clients may consider alternate vendors after the global outage, but that's no solution to the crux of the issue," said Javad Abed, an expert in cybersecurity and data vulnerability and assistant professor at the Carey Business School at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Quote, "The CrowdStrike incident is a stark reminder that relying on a single cybersecurity tool, regardless of a vendor's reputation, creates a dangerous single point of failure," Abed said. "And implementing multiple layers with multiple vendors is crucial for business continuity and protecting critical operations," unquote. "This sort of outage can happen to any vendor or company," Abed said, "but it is largely preventable, and one of the fundamental principles of cybersecurity is redundancy." So there was a little more in this article about how the government has looked at possibly funding businesses to build redundancy systems, which would be prohibitively expensive for businesses to fund on their own to build the kinds of backups that would really guarantee something like this would not happen. But I think the most interesting observation they're making there is, well, of course, if 50% of the Fortune 500 company are relying on one software system, yeah, the whole world technology, the whole world interconnectedness is threatened by not only something like this, where this was their screw up, but
it was just an update. Just a bug in an update.
It was just an update. So what about a virus?
Right.
What about a virus? Because you only have to figure out a virus that hits that one system. You don't have to negotiate a bunch of different softwares.
Exactly.
So just the whole way that's set up is foolish.
Exactly. And they should be able to fail-safe these systems better than this. And as you can see here, just that they're implementing multiple layers with multiple vendors, crucial for business continuity and protecting critical operations. Obviously, yes. I mean, it should not take a geek or an expert to know that. That's the most obvious thing in the world. But here is founder and CEO of CrowdStrike, George Kurtz, going on to try and explain this on NBC.
Joined by the founder and CEO of CrowdStrike, George Kurtz. George, it's good to see you. A lot of people woke up. They saw that blue screen of death. We've been hearing all about the messes at the airports.
I don't know nothing about that blue screen of death. A lot of broadcast channels, Australia, even ours here. We had those blue screens everywhere. People are wondering what happened. So what did happen?
Yeah. So first, thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat with you first on air.
There's the blue screen of death you see on the billboard.
Oh,
Macy's.
wow. Even on Macy's.
Yeah. Oh, it couldn't load correctly. The blue screen of death everywhere. Hey, I'm a Mac user. I don't know anything about that. I left that world behind years ago. Been a Mac man for a long time now. So I was not familiar with this. Apparently, this is a cliche thing. This is like the wheel. We call this in Mac world the wheel of death, the rainbow colored wheel that spins around when your system freezes, which is very rare since these Macs are superior operating systems. But that's the blue screen on the Macy's billboard. Look at that.
And I want to start with saying we're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our company.
Nurses, doctors. Imagine working in a hospital and you turn on the fucking screen and you see that. Oh my God. I mean, it's not funny. I mean, people could have died, right? You know, medical records lost. Who knows what could have happened? Yeah. But that is something. Wow.
We know what the issue
Sorry,
is.
go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, when you look at this, it's just incredible how vulnerable all of these systems are to just one attack. Like, this wasn't an attack, but what does it suggest about the vulnerability of all? And they talk so much about cybersecurity and foreign actors. I mean, look at this system. It's like held together with spit and baling wire.
Yeah, and this guy looks like he's about to have a nervous breakdown on the air here.
To customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our companies. So we know what the issue is. We're resolving and have resolved the issue now. It's recovering systems that are out there. And essentially, as you've talked about in the statement I put out, is the system was sent an update, and that update had a software bug in it and caused an issue with the Microsoft operating system. And we identified this very quickly and remediated the issue. And as systems come back online, as they're rebooted, they're coming up and they're working. And now we are working with each and every customer to make sure that we can bring them back online. But that was the extent of the issue in terms of a bug that was related to our update.
Mr. Kurtz, it's Savannah here in Milwaukee. I mean, you're in the cybersecurity business, and I certainly don't even pretend to understand this, but according to your statement, it was a single content update that has managed to shut down air travel, credit card payment systems, banks, broadcasts, street lights, 911, emergency around the globe. Why is there not some kind of redundancy or some sort of backup? How is it that one single software bug can have such a profound and immediate impact?
Well, when you look at the complexity of cybersecurity, you're always trying to stay one step ahead of the adversaries. Excuse me.
Oh, they got a defibrillator over there.
Oh yeah, take a drink of water.
Yeah, sorry.
Sure, it's been a long night.
We're always trying. It's been a long night. We're always trying to stay one step ahead of the adversaries. And in this particular case, our systems are always looking for the latest attacks from these adversaries that are out there. So this content update went out, and as it does, and it's been doing for many, many years, obviously we've got a robust team that's looking at the safety and security and the quality of these updates, and we have to go back and see what happened here. But If there's a negative interaction with the way some of these operating systems work, and in this particular case, it was only the Microsoft operating system that was impacted, you'll see a reaction like this. And this is, what we've seen here.
All right, I mean, we don't have to watch the rest of that. You're being bullshitted when they use the word robust. Robust is a word. When they say robust, that means, you're being sold a line of shit. These stories never surprise me as much as they surprise some people because I'm an Uber driver and because I drove for DoorDash all these years. And that gave me a very good understanding of how tech works. These tech people, these big tech people like this George Kurtz, they're not normal. I'm sorry. Like they're not wired like the rest of us. These are people who just don't feel any particular obligation to humanity. They don't feel any responsibility to the society that they're in. Oh, the system went down. Yeah, it was a bug. Oh, the hospitals lost medical records. Oh, sorry about that. We'll fix it. I mean, that's it.
Well,
I mean, that's it. That's the way.
think...
No, there's no redundancy. If it fails, things will fuck up. Sorry, Elon. Sorry, Mark Zuckerberg. Sorry, move fast, break things. Take the money in as fast as we can. Shit happens along the way. We'll deal with it. If it fucks people up, we'll deal with it. Keep moving forward. Keep taking it in. That is the ethos. It's not normal. It's really not normal.
I think it's also just a symptom of crony capitalism because they're not subject to consequences. I mean, look at what we're saying about CrowdStrike. I strongly suspect they're as big as they are now because they did a very special service for the Clintons and the DNC.
Right.
So they don't have to be good. You just have to be connected. Yeah. And I think we see that all through the economy.
Yeah. Who you know?
Please clap.